A lot of students spend so much money on textbooks that we could pretty much pay off our student loans with how much money we spend on books. We spend $400 on a textbook that we barely use, or we only use for a short amount of time in that class. I'm real tired of it. But of course, we can't go through a class and not have a textbook. We have to study and use that textbook. Even though the internet's there and we all use the internet and think, everything is on the internet, that textbook is the most important thing we have. It's got all the material we need to learn and to get through the class, but we're spending so much on one book. I believe that textbooks should be provided to all students attending college. I mean, people expect us to just pull out $400 and lay it down and buy a textbook. But all of us are struggling with money, and we have loans to pay, and a lot of us are relying on FAFSA to get through school, and we have a bunch of student loans. And spending that much on a textbook, it's ridiculous, and it's making everything so much worse. According to research, we as students spend over $1,000 on textbooks a year. Now, I personally think that's absolutely insane, and I'm sure everyone would agree with me. If schools want us to go and get an education that badly, then they should provide the materials we need to get the education that we're going for, and we're studying to get a degree, but we're also shelling out thousands of dollars a year on books that we barely use. I feel strong about this issue, and I know a lot of other students, especially college students, do, because every day we go to school and we strive for an education and a bright future. And it's sad because we spend that much money on books. And ebooks, I know ebooks or online textbooks have been tried numerous of times to be created, but the sad thing and the hard thing about ebooks is they aren't useful like a textbook, like a big textbook in front of us would be, because that textbook is created to contain a certain amount of information that we need to learn and that we need to get through the course. And an ebook they don't put all the information from a textbook online. That's just copying, that's just plagiarism, that's not going to work at all. And that's why ebooks have failed, and they never actually worked out, because textbooks are what we need. Yes, everyone uses textbooks, and everyone knows that textbooks are super helpful and super important for us to have. But it is shown in studies that more students are failing and dropping classes because they can't afford a book or the materials that you need for the class. And I failed a class, and I know it's not fun, and you gotta retake it, and it costs so much money just to retake a class that you can barely afford, but you could barely afford the textbook used for that class, and that's why you failed it or you dropped it. And it's become a real issue. Like, all college students are struggling so hard, and they require so much help from student loans, and they're already having to pay that off once they graduate. If you have FAFSA student loans, then you can use that to buy a textbook. But the problem with that is that's taking away your money for school, and you're still going to have to pay it back. I feel because elementary school, middle school, and high schools, all their textbooks are provided for them. High schoolers check them out through their student ID, and they have them for the whole year. Elementary school, middle schoolers, they're in the classrooms, and they get to use them whenever they want, and take them home, and check them out through their teachers. And then there's us as college students who have to sit there and pay $200 to $500 for a book. It's ridiculous. I use my textbook for 4 weeks. 4 weeks I have a $400 textbook, and then it goes absolutely nowhere. It sits in my closet, and I don't ever use it again. And it stinks. because it's just such a waste of money, and I use my FAFSA for that, and I don't know, I feel like it's just such a waste. And I struggle every day, and I go to work every day to try to save money up to pay off my loans as soon as I'm done with school. Even though I have a year left, I have a lot of loans that I gotta pay off. I can't afford to be shelling out $400 for an American literature textbook that I'm gonna use for 4 weeks or barely even use in the class. I feel like all students, college students anyways, feel strong about the situation, and they just don't know how to stand up for themselves, and they don't know how to stand up for this situation personally. I feel like if we got together and all of us, put together something and wrote to someone high up as the president, we'd be able to continue our education with free books and, be able to go somewhere in life. And we're forced to go to school every day and continue an education and graduate and just go through school. And if, just keep going to school, but we're paying so much money for books once we get out of high school, and we're paying so much for our education. College isn't cheap, and neither are the textbooks that come along with it. I don't like spending that much money on a book, and I don't want to keep spending that much money on a book. So I feel like all college students should have their books provided for them throughout their classes. And, if that means paying a little extra for schooling, then so be it. But not $400 a month extra or $600 a month extra for one, just as much as a textbook would be. I feel strong, and I believe that all college students should have their textbooks provided for them.